Hi, it's Sandy here, and we're in for the new moon rose reading for the 29th of December 2016. And this is the last new moon, it's the last new awful moon of this year. And what a year it's been for so many of us. So many that I've worked with or I've met through the Rose classes or any of the other gatherings, have all had their own challenges and things to deal with in this year of 2016. And of course, we've lost so many of the talented musicians and artisans, actresses, actors in this year. It's been such a year of really assessing and looking at our own journey here through the lens of what we've experienced in the external world. This has been such a powerful, transformative year for so many people. And for me too, it's this last 6 months, and particularly this last couple of months, have been very much felt like they've been an initiation path. Just the experience of almost being in the perfect storm. And I was reminded just only in this last week that actually I was on one of the last flights that left the east coast of America a few years ago when Hurricane Sandy barreled up the east coast and made landfall around New York and New Jersey. And I was teaching the Rose classes in New Jersey, and the decision had to be made to cut the trip short and to exit. And I was really lucky to be able to get back out on one of the last flights. But this place of the perfect storm that can form in our lives, I think is fascinating. And a perfect storm, like with the hurricane, it's a series of conditions that all come together that create a certain unfolding. And life can be like that for us as well. So yeah, it's really felt like a pathway of initiation for me, and probably one of the greatest pathways of initiation that I have been through in my entire life. But thankfully, coming to this place and coming to this stepping over the line, there's almost a feeling of this new moon bringing us into this place of really looking at who we are, where we are, what's the vision, what's the intention that's bubbling up within that begins to take our focus out beyond this weekend and into a place of being able to step almost over a line in the sand. There is a real sense that there is almost a place in which we need to draw almost a physical line and reassess and reevaluate exactly where we are now, what we need to leave behind, what has served its purpose for us, in order to step over that threshold, step over that line, to be able to take us with our bag of acquired gifts and powers now, strengths within us that will allow us to actually take ourselves out into the world in somewhat of a new frequency. There is a feeling that as we come to this closing of this, what is a 9-year, 2016 was a 9-year from a numerological point of view, and therefore much of our inner landscape has had to be pushed to the surface so that we've been able to see perhaps where things have been illusory or where we've made choices that actually don't ultimately serve the highest trajectory of our soul intention You know, when we come into this incarnation, we come in with all of our gifts and our strengths from previous incarnations, but we embed into the genetic coding of the family of our origin so that we go out on this journey of really truly finding ourselves, to coming into this place of self-love and self-appreciation in order to have healed what we came to heal, to polish the diamond, to have really be able to access the gifts that we brought forward to share with the world. You know, these aren't our gifts. We chose to be here at this time with our tool bag, with our bag of gifts, in order to share them with the world. And we've been honing them. We've been polishing this diamond. We've been refining in this last year, so that we are ready to step over that threshold and really start to move forward with a strength and a real sense of grounded resourcefulness, a knowingness deep within ourselves of our value, and with a much more of a connection to tribe, to those that really resonate with us, with who we are. And I think it's interesting that we've just been through Christmas, and you know, historically that's a time when we spend time with our birth families. And I know for many that again has been an interesting passage, particularly this year, in being able to see and feel those places where there is perhaps not a sense of ease. There's a sense of not fitting in. And I've really come to realize for myself and for many that I've spoken with, that actually many of us that are on this pathway, or on this pathway of light, have been steadily working within the fields of alternative therapies or vibrational medicine, whether that's in music or in, like with me with the roses, that somehow or other we came into families where we perhaps just didn't feel that we fitted. I know that I have nobody within my birth family that speaks my language, that is involved in this sort of field at all. And so there is always this sense of trying to navigate it, and to perhaps chunk down the language a bit, so that we don't seem so sort of not quite all there, not all quite normal. So yeah, I think, you know, Christmas can bring us up some really interesting things. And Jilly's just Jilly, bless you, Jilly. She's just gone, oh yes. It's like, where? And I'm sure that this is where our tribe, those in our soul connections, in our, you know, our places and our points of interest and where we gather, are the ones that can mirror back to us, goodness me, yes, you've got such gifts to offer. And you know, we are all here at this time to share and to be a resource for one another, because the gifts that we bring of insight and of the wealth of our experience in navigating the journey this far are going to be so valued when we take these next steps, because it's like we're stepping into the unknown. And for those of us that have been working to be grounded and to have a sense of stability and process within ourselves, we're the ones that can therefore take this out and share it with the world. So I do hope that you've all navigated this time in one way or another. And yeah, it's going to be really exciting, I think, as we see what unfolds in this next stage for us. So, what can the roses offer us as a wisdom for this this next phase for us? So, which of the roses are you drawn to? Is it rose 1, rose card 2, or rose card 3? More than ever before, I think that this rose reading is so pertinent for us in stepping over this threshold, stepping over into this place of really honouring ourselves and holding great love and self-esteem, self-value as the foundation of everything that we can then take forward into the world. So, if you chose Rose card 1, here she is, and she is Rose 3. Rose 3, I'm sorry. It's been, one of those days. So, yes, this is Rose 3, and Rose 3 comes from the original 11 rose card set, and she sits on the spleen chakra. So she's one of the original 11 that make up the rose healing grid that works on the body. So she works on the spleen, and the spleen in Chinese medicine has a direct connection to the pancreas. So she works spleen, pancreas energies. The spleen is a filter for the blood, so she works with the immune system. She works with our sense of boundaries, about having a good boundary in our own field. So if you've drawn her today, you've called her, this is one of her messages for you, you know, around looking at your sense of yourself and having good boundaries in place means that we have an inner resource and we know where we stop and somebody else begins. Always very valuable. So she also, as I say, works with the pancreas. So she's about the sweetness in life. She's about really being able to tap into that place of reminding yourselves on a daily basis to incorporate the sweetness in life, to be able to find places and do things that bring you joy. She's the real archetypal joy rose. She's inviting us to find more time to make playtime, to make sure that we incorporate a balance of having focused time, but also having time in nature, in being able to put a good balance into our day-to-day life. Really, really important. So if she's called you today, this is where your focus perhaps needs to be in how you approach going into next year, about making sure that you have good balance, making sure that you have good boundaries, and making sure that you spend time each day having an experience of joy, where we find our focus and where we can find happiness in our day-to-day life is where the growth will be. So, you know, where we put our attention, energy flows. So really important to look at the places of joy, and also to perhaps, if you've drawn her, just to make sure that you're giving your spleen some extra support. And that could be with, just very nourishing foods like squash, roasted sweet potatoes, roasted carrots. These are all the sort of foods that have got a natural sweetness to them that are very nourishing for the body at this time. So here she is, Rose 3, and, you know, her primary word is, you know, I am joy. I am effervescently bubbling joy. So, beautiful card to choose. So, if you chose Rose card 2, this is Rose 11. And Rose 11, again, is from this first 11 roses that create the chakra healing grid. And Rose 11 works on the heart field. So she is like the divine energy. She opens to bring in the divine energy from source. And, you know, this golden heart is the essence of the work. You know, when we have cleared enough of our own personal story, what lights up within our heart fields is the golden flame, and that further activates the golden light body. You know, that's the place that takes us to the point where we show up as way showers and guides for others from that light source place. And, you know, this golden center, she connects in straight up through into the crown. So the crown can only open to the degree that the heart field is open. And this is why the heart work is so important. And this is why the rose work has been so important for both men and women. You know, this heart field is the place that is our deepest resource. It's where we come home. So, oh, loads of hearts. Thank you so much. You know, this golden place is what fully activates. This is what all of the alchemical work is about. This is what the mystery school work was about. It was all about being able to light up this golden heart flame and be able to, therefore, light the heart flames of others. If we haven't done that for ourselves, we cannot do that for others in the world. So this place of doing our own work, of being this resource, is so important. So when we are able to sit within our own heart field, we can activate the crown. The crown then further activates the soul star and the stellar gateway, and it allows us to be this being of light, and also to be the vehicle that brings heaven on earth. This is just such a stunning rose, and you can almost see a dove nestled into the top of the golden heart field here, and she just holds this field of perfection. You know, when we can open ourselves to the divine, when we can bring that energy down through the crown into the heart and allow it to move from the heart down into the body, it allows us to illuminate in our own being those areas where we perhaps have shadow aspects that we've just not been able to deal with. And what are those? They are only the absence of light. So when we have courage and resource, we allow that light to filter down through from the heart to the solar plexus, the navel, and into the sacral, into the womb hara energies, and into the base chakra. And that, of course, activates and opens up the Kundalini energy and the Ida and the Pingala energies up through the body to activate the pineal gland at yet another level. So this is just such a great rose to step forward for us as a way shower through this portal that we're entering to move into the next phase. So, what is next? Rose card 3. Rose card 3 is Rose Angel 3. Interesting that we've got Rose 3 and we've got Rose Angel 3. And Rose Angel 3 is the rose from the Rose Angels that are the transformers to the 5 wounds to the heart of abandonment, betrayal, denial, judgment, and separation. And this rose sits on the third eye. So she sits at the pineal gland, the third eye, and she's all about the heart wound of judgment. And judgment is one of those things, you know, we can judge another, sorry, cat going through, and it's going to come back again as well. Oh, bless. Excuse me. I'm just going to remove a Max. So, yeah, this place of judgment of where we perhaps have judged another, but also where, of course, we've judged ourselves. And I think, you know, when we do these sort of reviews of our journey in this year, it's very easy to move into this place of, you know, judging ourselves for making decisions in a particular way, or you know, judging someone else in our lives. But ultimately, the pathway here is about forgiveness, and the transformer for this heart wound of judgment is forgiveness. It's about finding forgiveness for the path of another. Sorry. It's hilarious. But also that pathway in ourselves. It's like being able to forgive ourselves for the challenging journeys that we have taken ourselves on to actually get to this place. And I think it's the other interesting thing about the third eye pineal gland, and this, you know, this is our center of higher will. This is the center of, this is the place where divine inspiration comes in. And that has got a direct connection to our solar plexus, which is our center of personal will. And I was on a webinar this morning with Rachel Elnor, actually, and we were talking about the power of intention. And we can have the greatest of ideas about what we get inspired by. But one of the filters that goes past it is the judgment, and then it goes down into the solar plexus. And, you know, do we have the strength in the solar plexus to take the action, to be sacred activists, to follow through with the inspiration that we get? So this filter, this filter place of judgment needs to be watched, and, you know, wherever we can, to be able to take a step back and look and say, what's the truth here? You know, is it my inner pattern of resistance that is coming up, that is thwarting perhaps a real sense of a download and divine inspiration to a particular action? So this Rose Angel is beginning to take yet another flavour, and I've been really aware just recently that the roses, following my own process, are going through an upshift in the spiral. So they're taking us to new places, and this rose, I mean, she's really interesting because she's got such a golden centre, but it's like her arms are wrapped round, giving herself a hug. And I think sometimes, you know, the place that we need to go to is to give ourselves a hug, because we have just done the best that we possibly can, given the circumstances and given the script. You know, until we have the courage to open Pandora's box on our own storyline, or have the intention to really be mindful about our inner landscape and the inner chatter that goes round and round, we can't get out of the loop. So this place of forgiveness, I think, really key in this closing chapter of this year towards yourself and towards anyone that you've had any degree of conflict with in this past year, so that you can take the learning out of it. Take the what qualities you've had to develop through the experience, and that is the richness of the gift. That's the gold in the experience. And when I describe this work as Rose Alchemy, that's what this work is about. This is about using the sacred geometry and the power, the whispered words of the rose, to release, to gently, with grace and beauty. This is what these roses are about. Gracefully help us release all that no longer serves us, doesn't serve us, doesn't serve the story, doesn't serve our future pathway. And none of the stuff that we experience is any more than to illuminate what's being called for transformation, for release and transformation. So we have got 3 mega powerful roses that tell us that the key piece here is the joy and is the sweetness in life, finding the sweetness in life. I'm actually realizing that the reflection of this one is making everything look very pink on my camera. So, this is finding happiness in our day-to-day, really, really vital. And, this continual place of opening the heart field, being present to love, being present to life, being fully present to what is. I think that's a Matt Kahnism, but it's being very present to what is, loving what is. And that allows for the transformation, that allows for the golden heart to really light and radiate. And that's our magnetic attractor factor. That's what brings more of that into our world. And when we're looking at intention setting, when we're thinking about our pathway forward, the alignment with the true soul, alignment and soul purpose, brings that into almost an instant manifestation. So my sense is, as we go into 217, we're going to be even more aware that our thoughts create things. So we need to be really, really clear about our alignment to our truth, our alignment to our soul purpose in this incarnation, and what service we are here to offer to our soul tribe, our birth tribe too, because I'm sure that part of our work as way showers has been to gather the gold, to bring the insights and the wisdoms forward, so that we can in turn inspire our birth families and our communities in this coming time. And here we are with the Rose 3, and it is really about letting go of judgment, really coming into the truth of who we are, and seeing that everybody has a script, everybody has a story, everybody that we have connection with has a truth to offer us. And when we come into this place of deep, heartfelt forgiveness, I'm sure that forgiveness is actually the second most powerful thing to love. This is our greatest gift to ourselves and to others is to let the stories go. So, beautiful 3-card reading. Thank you for all your messages. I'm on a tiny iPhone, so I can't see all of your messages, but thank you so much. And I wish you all a wonderful journey through these last closing days of 2016. I'm feeling really called to go to Glastonbury for New Year. So I'm hoping that it's going to be dry and bright enough to actually go up on the tour. Yeah, it just feels to me to be an incredibly powerful time. So, you know, the next reading will be the full moon in January. I'm hoping that I will be able to master the technology enough to be able to send this reading out to the rest of you on my newsletter list that get it through MailChimp and that aren't on Facebook. I'm going to do my very best. It's my first time of handling the technology in that way, and you know, until we connect again, with so much love and rosy blessings, and thank you for joining me in this rosy journey. What an adventure it's been, and who knows where it's going to take us next year. Goodness. Anyway, much love. Bye for now. Bye-bye.